Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll hear about a global forum to help develop young talent, and we'll talk about crowdfunding and how it can help startups and entrepreneurs achieve their goals. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The Republican primary race in Congressional District 1 is still too close to call. The Arizona Capital Times reports that as of this morning, Andy Tobin had a lead of 469 votes over rancher Gary Keeney. A check of the Arizona Secretary of State's website this afternoon showed that lead is now down to 346 votes. The winner of the race takes on incumbent Democratic Congresswoman Ann Kirkpatrick. And a groundbreaking was held this morning for a controversial casino near Glendale.
To be able to be here today and bringing this whole journey into this level of fruition at this time it's almost overwhelming.
This is an exciting day for Glendale and for the West Valley, and especially all the residents that will benefit from jobs and economic investment that begin today.
The Tohono O'odham tribe broke ground today, even though the move could backfire if court actions or legal maneuvers aimed at stopping the casino are successful. Thus far, the tribe has survived a number of legal battles challenging the tribe's right to build a casino on land in the Phoenix metro area. The Greater Phoenix Economic Council's Director of International Strategy, Mary Foote Hebert, recently attended a forum of young global shapers held in Geneva. The forum was designed to connect young leaders from around the world and help those attending learn new ideas to take back home. Joining us now to tell us more about the forum is Mary Foote Hebert. Good to have you here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, the Global Shapers Community. What is that?
So the Global Shapers Community, it's a network of young professionals, really young, exceptional people. It's an initiative of the World Economic Forum, which is based in Geneva, and really their primary mission is to improve the state of the world, which they do through conferences. They're most famous for Davos, and really they realized that the youth voice wasn't represented, which led them to create the Global Shapers Community.
And the Global Shapers Community exists by way of this network of hubs. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, absolutely correct. We are one of the younger hubs, but they have been in existence for 3 years. There are about 350 of them now, and they represent 156 countries around the world.
And Phoenix has a hub founded by you, I take it?
Correct. I'm the founding curator for the Phoenix Hub. We have about 8 to 10 global shapers. That's what we call the exceptional young people that are a part of the hub.
And those that are a part of the hub, what do they do? What do they offer?
Yeah, so really they would like us to work on community projects and be a voice for the young people in our community.
Do different people have different areas of expertise?
Right, we have a broad selection of people, those from the private sector, the public sector, and a lot of young entrepreneurs as well.
Now, do different hubs around the country, are they focused on different things? And if so, what is the Phoenix Hub focused on?
Right, so the challenges of every hub is going to be different depending upon the community. Our hub's focus is definitely different than, say, the one in Luxembourg or a hub in Tel Aviv. We really noticed that young people tend to leave the Greater Phoenix region in about 10 years after graduation at pretty staggering rates. And so we decided to commit to having projects that focus on retaining young talent.
And so have you started some of those projects? I know it's a young hub here. Have you done some of these projects so far, and what have been the results?
Well, it's interesting. We really started with having conversations among our own networks, trying to understand why it is that young people leave the market. And what we realized is that there are organizations like the one that I work for, the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, that do a great job of attracting innovative companies where people want to work. But there's another element of what makes people want to stay in a community. And for us, we've realized that that's getting engaged in the community through nonprofit work. So we'd really like to be able to better connect young people, those who are still in school and those who are young professionals, to nonprofit activities helping their community.
And to that end, again, members of the hub kind of go off in certain directions and work on individual projects, hub-centric projects. How does that work?
Right, so we're thinking about doing an event later in the spring that would really allow young professionals to get to know some of the nonprofits that are active in their community. And then the nonprofits would be able to let them know the opportunities that are available to them. And then really the idea is that young people are then engaged and then want to stay in the community because they already are there helping and engaged.
Do you sense a little bit of that tide turning? I mean, it seems like the young, they're gone, immediately gone.
Right, right. Yeah, I do. I've been really inspired by the people who are in our hub, the global shapers that we have. There's such a commitment to make Phoenix a better place to be. And I think you're already seeing it with what's happening downtown. We've already had initial conversations with Downtown Phoenix Inc. about how we can work with them on some of the initiatives that they're already undertaking.
All right, very good. Now let's talk about this forum in Geneva. A meeting of, again, you're the curator, kind of the founder, the curator of the Phoenix Hub. So a bunch of curators from all over the world get together and do what?
Right. Right, so we did several things. One of the things that we were able to learn is how we can make our hub stronger. So part of that is developing a governance structure, learning how to fundraise, branding exercises, but there is of course a lot of bonding involved as well. The opportunity to meet people like me from 350 cities around the world was incredibly inspiring. Best practices and some of the projects, a lot of the older hubs that have now been able to undertake those, what they're doing and what they've accomplished.
Did you see something from those best practices that you could apply here in town?
Yeah, absolutely. Chicago is doing a project called My Block, My Hood, My City. Chicago is a very segregated city, and what they'd like to do is be able to have an app that's a game that allows people to earn points the farther away they get out of their own neighborhood. And so the idea there is when you hear things that are happening in neighborhoods outside of your own, it doesn't seem so far away, and it allows people to have greater empathy for what's going on in their entire city.
So when you, as a curator of the Phoenix Hub, you hear about the folks in Chicago doing an app that it winds up as a game that the goal of which is to get people out and about, you take that and you go, maybe we can do an app of a game of something here?
Right, absolutely. So I've spoken to the curator in Chicago, and she's getting the app underway. They're actually part of a program. Coca-Cola will sponsor some of the projects, so there is an opportunity for funding at that level. And if they're able to be successful, we can take their platform and put it into a project here in Phoenix.
And when you were over there, did you find yourself, were people curious about Phoenix? Were they wondering about Arizona? And what did you tell them?
Yeah, I was really impressed with the number of people who actually knew Phoenix and where we are. There were definitely a lot of people who know that we're a desert, know that we have sunshine. Some of the branding that we already have, and my experience is doing international business, but it really gave us an opportunity to talk about some of the innovation that's happening here, the entrepreneurial activity. I think people were really impressed with what we're doing here in the city.
Talk about the involvement now. I know you're working for GPEC, and GPEC is also involved, the Commerce Authority is involved as well with the hub. How does that all work?
Right, so I did have some experience with the World Economic Forum. Last year I was lucky enough to work with Mayor Stanton's staff. He was invited to speak at one of the World Economic Forum events in China. It's their annual meeting of new champions, and they're very interested in what city's done, what the Phoenix city has done in terms of urban innovation. And so he spoke to that, and I helped him plan that trip.
And so that is an association, but is funding involved? Are other aspects of the association? I mean, how does that work, that
Right.
relationship?
Yeah, right now we're looking at projects that don't require a lot of funding, but then once we get to another level where it starts to mature, we can go back to the forum, and there are funding opportunities available through the Global Cities, the Global Shapers community.
Now, were you the one who decided, I want to start a hub, I'm the curator, I'm going to start, did someone come to you and say, look at this project, we want you to take charge? How did that work?
Right, so because there are so many hubs, they're separated by regions. So the community manager for the North America region reached out to me, I would say in December of last year, and he said that he had spoken to some people in the community and they recommended me. They knew that I had worked with the World Economic Forum in the past. I was really interested to participate. It seems a bit of a daunting project, but I've been very pleased with how it's been going, and again, inspired by the people I've been able to put together to this point.
And that is a process of putting people, I mean, you have to look for the folks for your hub, right? I mean, you're the one who recruits? What are you looking for?
Yeah, so again, I'm looking for the diversity. I like people from a variety of sectors, private and public. Also, entrepreneurs have been really great because they're very interested in retaining young people who can also start businesses and they can share best practices. So the recruitment right now, we're at about 8 to 10 shapers, but we are looking to recruit, hopefully getting to about 20 by the end of January. So if anyone knows anyone who is an exceptional young person between 20 and 30 years old, they can email me. We have an address. It's Phoenix Hub GS, PHX, hubgs@gmail.com.
Okay, we'll repeat that a little bit later on. But so last question for you now. What's next for you? What's next for the Hub? You came back from Geneva, I hope with a lot of ideas.
Right.
Where do we go from here?
Yeah, I think right now we're really looking at the recruitment model that some of the other cities have done. So asking people to send us some information about themselves, why they're interested in getting involved, and some projects that they think that we could work on and accomplish to solve problems in the community.
All right, very good. Well, I hope you had fun over there. That's a nice trip over there
It
to Geneva.
was. It was really beautiful. We were happy to attend, and it was, again, great to meet people from around the world.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's good to have you here.
Excellent. Thank you.
Tonight's edition of Arizona's Future looks at the concept of crowdfunding. It's one way technology is changing the way we connect with others. We'll hear from a crowdfunding expert in a moment, but first we see how a single post to a website has changed one Phoenix family. Producer Christina Estes tells us their story.
Melinda is 21 years old. She was born like a kind of little bit late start kids.
It took 7 years for Lynn Baldwin to learn her daughter had DiGeorge syndrome, a disorder caused by a chromosome defect. It took 14 more years for Lynn to discover her daughter's talent.
She first started was by accident.
It started when Lynn asked Melinda to paint for Grandma.
It was so pretty. She said, "Mom, I like to keep it for myself. I'll do another one for Grandma." And I thought, okay, great idea. So she started to do another one. Of course, the other one, she also liked it.
And another and another. In just 6 weeks, Melinda has created more than a dozen pieces.
Right.
But they're not just covering the family's tables and walls. Melinda is now painting for people she's never met, strangers who've invested in her.
It's just beautiful.
When Melinda's mother realized the power of painting, she turned to a crowdsourcing site to gather donations for supplies.
I'm very thankful for their help. People just have a very good heart.
The goodness comes from across the U.S., Massachusetts, Illinois, and Arizona. Lynn hoped to collect $200. She got more than $300.
Harrigan City.
Her mind just goes everywhere. I mean, I can't figure out what's in her head. So through her painting, I can understand actually a little bit about her.
I like blue and white.
Someday she has orange, red, and very happy color. And then the other times she has blues, greens, more like a deep sea color. So it's reflecting her mind.
When she paints, Melinda says she just goes with what she's thinking.
Always fast.
Always fast, always joyful. In exchange for their support, Melinda's backers get colorful thank you cards, canvas paintings, and a mother's eternal gratitude.
She's a lot happier after painting. It gave her a meaning for her life.
Melinda's mother is now considering creating a permanent website where people can view and purchase Melinda's paintings. Here to tell us more about crowdsourcing and crowdfunding is Mary Jutton, founder of Tracklight, a Phoenix company that's developed a software platform to identify and protect intellectual property. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is for me at least, it's a little bit confusing here. We got crowdsourcing, we got crowdfunding, you got equity crowdfunding, you got rewards-based crowdfunding. What did we just see with this family? What was that? Is that rewards-based?
Yes, Ted, that's rewards-based crowdfunding. The origin of crowdfunding, or going out to find your crowd and find a source of money, is donations. But this is one step further, because although people were donating the $300 that they collected, the donors, instead of just receiving, the good feeling that comes along with a donation, they're actually getting perks or rewards, which were the paintings or the thank you cards.
Okay, so that's that kind of a rewards base. Now let's get to equity crowdfunding, which I think is very interesting as well, because this could be big news for startups, entrepreneurs. Define that for us.
So equity crowdfunding on the federal level came out of the JOBS Act, which is the Jumpstart Our Business Startups Act, which was signed into law in April of 2012. And the idea is that instead of having to be an accredited investor, which means you have to have certain net worth or level of income, anybody can invest and buy basically a piece of a company by going online and using a crowdfunding portal.
So if I've got Ted's Hamburgers and I'm looking for equity crowdfunding, you could donate $5 to Ted's Hamburgers, and now I have to keep track of your donation and you get returns on that. How does that work?
So actually, if you had Ted's Hamburgers and you would go to a funding portal, and the reason I'm saying you would go is because it's not yet legal in the US to do this equity crowdfunding, but I would go and I would say, hey, I want to be an investor in Ted's Hamburgers, and if I could buy one share for, let's say, $5, which would be a great deal, I could then purchase that $5 share, and you would have to keep track of everybody who invested. So it's not really a donation. You're actually investing, on the stock market.
You're just not, as it stands right now, quote unquote, accredited.
Correct. So it is for anyone. You have to have a certain amount of income. There's some rules about how much you can invest. Like, for example, 5% if you make under $100,000. So that would limit you to, say, $5,000 a year of investment. But it opens up a huge source of funding for small businesses and startups.
So, and before we go on now, you said this wasn't legal yet. I thought it passed in 2012. What's going on?
So it passed into law, and then the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, was tasked with coming up with the rules for this. So they created rules that came out last October. They were a tad late, about 9 months late. It's a big job though. Yeah. And they came out with these rules. They opened it up for comment. Comments were received until early 2014, but the SEC hasn't released the rules that they may or may not have changed based on those comments. So although there are some states that have intrastate or within the state crowdfunding. There's no federal crowdfunding allowed right now in the U.S.
And I guess the idea, because I guess we look on both sides of the issue here, if I've got Ted's Hamburgers and I want to make sure that I'm doing the special thing I'm doing with Ted's Hamburgers, someone doesn't run off and open a chain or something, that's my intellectual property. That needs to be protected to some degree, correct?
Correct. Whether it's rewards-based crowdfunding, equity-based crowdfunding, or frankly just raising, if you were going to angel investors, raising crowdfunding, you might have your secret recipe for your hamburgers. So that's nothing that you're going to patent. That's nothing that, there's no protection for that. So you have to keep your secret sauce literally secret. So let's say you had something like your name, Ted's Hamburgers, you wanted to protect that. All these things have to be identified and protected before you go out publicly. So somebody doesn't steal your idea once it's out there.
Okay, let's go to the other side of the fence where I'm just as big as life with Ted's Hamburgers here, and you decide $5,000, $10,000, I'm just going to dump a whole bunch of money in there, and tomorrow Ted's Hamburgers says, thank you very much, I'm gone, I'm out of here with your money. How do you protect investors?
And that is a big concern, and the Jobs Act has a lot of information around education for investors. When a company goes out to raise money, currently that's not raising money on the stock exchange, they create something, a private placement memo, which lists all kinds of risks. So part of what the SEC rules came out with is the same kind of disclosure or information has to be provided when I would be making my investment in Ted's Hamburgers. You would have made available to me as the investor a whole raft of information, including risks that you might go out of business. And investing in private companies is risky business.
It is, especially if the private company is a little on the shady side.
However, and there's been lots of people who've talked about it, and the difference between somebody who's on the shady side, you have to comply with background checks, you have to comply with a lot of regulations, you have to provide financial statements, you have to provide a lot of information. So there's a lot of rules around it to try to prevent any kind of fraud.
We don't have too much time left, but I keep hearing of Indiegogo and Kickstarter. What are those?
So Indiegogo and Kickstarter are the rewards-based platforms at this time. So there you can go and list your project or your film or whatever your cause or whatever you're doing. You list it there, and then you offer a series of rewards. So for example, when, if you're doing something around a movie, you might get your name in the credits or get a hat that has the movie logo on it or something like that. And that's how people gather money. There's no ownership there.
So in other words, if you give me $5,000 for my film about hamburgers, let's say,
yes.
and it winds up, and I give you a hat or I give you a burger patty or something, and it winds up making millions of dollars, you don't get any of that.
No, because our deal was I'm supporting you, I'm getting my hat, and you're gathering the money you need to make your project successful.
Is this the future? We're talking about Arizona's future in this entire series. Could this be the future of startups?
I think that both the rewards-based and the equity-based is the future of the way for startups to get started. There was a lot of pushback around the equity saying, people don't want to use this to raise $1 million. Most startups, if it's not a huge idea where you're going to need millions, you could get started with a very small amount of money. And if you go to the right crowd, which is your Arizona ecosystem, to raise that money, we can end up creating more jobs in Arizona. So it would be great. There's about 12 or 13 states now who have their own intrastate crowdfunding laws, and I would think it would be great if Arizona would do that.
Is it in the works, do you think?
I haven't heard that it's in the works, but I'd love to hear that it is.
Before you go now, you are with TrackLight. What is TrackLight?
So I founded TrackLight when I was in law school here at Arizona State in 2010 because I saw that entrepreneurs were losing their intellectual property, and intangibles or intellectual property are about 80 to 90% of the value of companies these days, particularly startups. And we created a software platform that allows entrepreneurs very affordably to identify the intellectual property that they need to protect. So that's what we created, and we're a proud Arizona company.
And I would say that you are rooting for crowdsourcing and crowdfunding to increase as well.
It would be great for us, but like we tell everyone, 100% of companies have IP. Even Ted's Hamburgers has IP.
All right.
So regardless of how you're raising your money, you still need to identify. The bank wants to know that you have your IP identified.
I'll bet it does. Yeah. Well, very interesting. It does sound like it's fascinating. I mean, it makes you want to go just do something and get a bunch of people behind you.
Go log on to Indiegogo.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And Friday on Arizona Horizon, it's the Journalists Roundtable. We'll look at Tuesday's primary vote and see what the results say about particular campaigns and candidates and what it all means for November's general election. That's Friday, 5:30 and 10 right here on the Journalists Roundtable. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.